4, 3, 2, 1.
Studio Classroom is
Please stand by.
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Well, hey there! Welcome to Studio Classroom on the air. Your English will improve today. I believe it. I hope you do too. My name is Gabe, and perhaps you've heard of the nature versus nurture argument. It goes something like this. Some things about us are from nature, and if that's the case, we can't and often shouldn't try to change those things. Some things about us are nurtured, that is, developed through the environments and upbringings that we had, so we can and sometimes should change those things. Well, the title of our lesson is You Really Can Change Your Personality. If this title is true, that means our personalities, at least some aspects of them, can be nurtured. As we learned yesterday, we can change almost everything about ourselves. So what are some tips for fostering good change? Number one, change your professional environment. And challenge your self-concept. I wonder what our lesson has to say about this. Open up your magazine and let's find out.
You really can change your personality. Change your professional environment. Learning new things and exploring different places are a great starting point to changing your personality for the better. Also, consider making substantial changes to your professional environment. This can manifest in several ways. If you're a successful leader, maybe you'd like to share your knowledge with others by coaching, writing, or speaking. These changes can be on a smaller scale as well. Anything that pushes you outside the limits of your normal work life can ensure you keep growing and changing.
Hello everyone, welcome to Language Lab. I'm Jack. 我们今天要看的第一个字是动词 manifest。To manifest 的意思是显出或是显示。譬如说 Matilda doesn't like her daughter's boyfriend and has continued to manifest her disapproval. Matilda 不喜欢她女儿的男朋友，她一直表明她对他的不满意。或是 Gary had just gotten married and it was about that time that his strange illness began to manifest itself. Gary 才刚娶老婆不久，然后在那时候，他奇怪的病就开始出现。再来一句 Fear manifests itself in so many ways. It can be in the form of nervousness, denial, or even anger. 惧怕会以很多不同方式显示，也许是紧张、拒绝接受，甚至是愤怒。好，我们来看下一个字是动词 ensure。To ensure 的意思是确保。让我们来看第一句 It's the security guard's job to ensure the safety of everyone in the resort. 警卫的责任就是要确保度假村里每一个人的安全。或是 Janice paid extra to ensure her package gets to her mother's house in time before Christmas. Janice 多付钱，为了确保她的包裹可以在圣诞节前被送到她妈妈家。还有一句 The company takes extra steps to ensure they have the best material to produce their products. 那这公司采取额外的步骤来确保他们有最好的材料来制造产品。
Thank you very much, Jack, and hello, everybody. I'm very happy to be back with you today as we continue talking about how your personality can change. My name is Rebecca.
All right, well, we see a suggestion here in this heading in our lesson, change your professional environment. So learning new things and exploring different places are a great starting point to changing your personality for the better. And that's a great phrase for you to know, to change something for the better. That means to make changes that will benefit that thing, in this case, to benefit your life.
That's right. For example, when Melody started going to church, I saw it actually change her for the better.
And of course, you may be wondering if you can change something for the better. Can it be changed for the worse? The answer is yes. Something could happen and it changes your life for the worse. But of course, you want to change your life for the better. Maybe you could change your professional environment. How does our lesson continue?
Well, we read, also consider making substantial changes to your professional environment. That is, if you have a professional environment. And we want to take a look at the word substantial. What does this word substantial mean?
You know, a great synonym for substantial, a word that kind of means the same thing, is significant, okay? Or this is talking about changes that actually make a difference. If it's a small change, it doesn't really make a big difference in your life, that's not a substantial change. So substantial means significant.
That's right. For example, perhaps you hadn't seen someone in a very long time, and before, this person maybe was overweight. And then you saw this person and you're like, wow, you've lost a substantial amount of weight.
Okay, so it's an amount of weight that really makes a difference in their life in practical ways, right? So our lesson says, consider making substantial changes to your professional environment. And you made a great point earlier, Rebecca, when you said, if you have a professional environment, because you might not be in the workforce yet. You might not have a career. Maybe you're still in school. Maybe there are changes that you can make in your academic environment.
That's right. Well, we continue. This can manifest in several ways. What can manifest in several ways? Well, we're talking about making these substantial changes, whether it's in your professional environment or your school life of some sort. So we read, if you're a successful leader, maybe you'd like to share your knowledge with others by coaching, writing, or speaking.
And speaking of sharing your knowledge with others, I think it's a great idea to be willing to share what you know with your coworkers. I know some people think, oh, I don't want to share this with that person because then they're going to get really good and maybe take my job. Maybe you see it as a threat. Friends, I don't think that's the right attitude to have. If you know something and you have skills that somebody else is willing to spend time learning, why not share that with them?
That's right. I remember when I used to teach piano lessons, someone once told me that as a teacher, but not just as a teacher, but like as a person, but at the time I was a teacher, they said that our goal should be to see our students actually be better than us as the teacher. And if you're actually focused on helping people and see them, you know, improve and perhaps even be better than yourself, you'll actually be rewarded. You'll feel the reward of that attitude.
That's right. You'll have a great sense of achievement and, you know, because we're all in this together. So let's act more like a team on this planet. We read on, these changes can be on a smaller scale as well. So it doesn't have to be anything huge. Anything that pushes you outside the limits of your normal work life can ensure you keep growing and changing.
That's right. Now there's one last word that we would like to take a look at in this section, and that is the phrase, the limits of. What exactly is this referring to, Gabe?
That's right. A limit is a boundary. It's where something usually ends. It's where you don't normally travel past. So you want to break through the limits.
That's right. And of course, in our lesson, we're talking about how if there's something, anything that pushes you outside the limits of what you're comfortable with, well, that will help you to grow and change for the better.
Our lesson is about personality. Let's find out what we can learn about personality tests in the Info Cloud.
Welcome to InfoCloud, friends. Have you ever taken a personality test?
I've taken a lot of tests in my life, but not a personality test. What if I fail?
Well, the good news is that you can't pass or fail a personality test.
Then what exactly is it?
Well, a personality test could be designed by companies, psychologists, or even just for fun. They ask a series of questions about your attitudes and behavior.
In order to find out what kind of person you are? But is that accurate?
Well, most personality tests ask you to answer based on your typical behavior.
So what kind of things can it measure?
One popular test, the MBTI, starts with measuring how introverted or extroverted you are. In this system, you could be an INFP, where each letter stands for a part of your personality.
So I'm guessing I would stand for introvert.
Yes, and an ENFP would be an extrovert.
What about other types of tests?
Another popular one is called the Enneagram. It divides people into 9 personality types and offers tips for personal growth.
Wow, Anne-Marie, it sounds like you enjoy these kinds of tests.
I think personality tests are a fun way to learn more about yourself. You might be surprised with the result.
近年来，很多人喜欢进行各种 personality test 性格测验，希望更了解自己或是某一个人。其中相当受欢迎的 MBTI 性格测验，就着重于测验你是 introverted 内向的人，还是 extroverted 外向的人。不过 introverted 不一定是指害羞，而是喜欢独处思考的类型。Extroverted 也不一定是人来疯，而是喜欢在人群中跟人交流，就会有充电的感觉。如果你是 introverted， 就会觉得这样很累。另外还有一个非常流行的性格测验 Enneagram， 也就是9型人格测验，基本上就是把人的性格划分为9大类型。透过测验看看你是属于哪一类型的人，有兴趣的人可以考虑进行各种性格测验。这就是今天的 InfoCloud， 我们下次云端见。
Studio Classroom is on the air.
Welcome back to Studio Classroom. Okay, here's a little quiz for you. Which word or phrase that you learned earlier talks about something that is significant? If it's significant, then it is substantial. That's the word I was thinking about anyway. Now, if you want to change your personality for the better, maybe you could consider making a substantial change in your professional environment. Let's continue learning about how our personalities can really change right now.
You really can change your personality. Challenge your self-concept. In Personality Isn't Permanent, Hardy discusses a study from Harvard psychologist Dr. Ellen Langer. In 1981, Langer and her graduate students selected a group of men in their 70s and placed them in an environment modeled to look like the 1950s. It featured a black and white television, mid-century furniture, and magazines from the era. As Hardy explains, the goal was to trigger their minds and bodies to exhibit the energy and biological responses of a much younger person. It worked. The subjects showed measurable improvement in eyesight, hearing, memory, and stamina. Often the way we conceive of ourselves impacts our physiology and psychology. By chasing new experiences and challenging ourselves, we can build the capacity to change and improve.
"接下来要看的字是动词 trigger。To trigger 的意思是引发，譬如说 Natalie is allergic to cats, and walking into a pet store actually triggers her allergy. Natalie 对猫过敏，她走进宠物店就引发了过敏现象。我们也可以用 trigger 来指情绪或是思想方面的引发，譬如说 Because Roger has been in a serious car accident, seeing other car accidents can trigger his bad memories. Roger 曾经出过严重的车祸，他看到别的车祸会引发他不好的回忆。To trigger 也有引发爆裂物的意思，譬如说 In the movie, a scientist accidentally mixed some chemicals in the laboratory, and that triggered an explosion. 在电影里，科学家在实验室里不小心混了几种化学物，然后就引发了爆炸。最后我们来看名词 stamina。Stamina 的意思是耐力，譬如说 The boy might look strong, but he doesn't have a whole lot of stamina. 小男孩也许看起来很壮，但他其实没有多少耐力。或是The old woodcutter has been carrying wood all these years and has more stamina than the hikers. 老樵夫这么多年来一直在扛木材，耐力比一般的登山客还要好。还有一句 Lindsay hired a personal trainer to help her build up her stamina. Lindsay 请了一位私人教练来帮助她训练她的耐力。Okay, let's get back to our teachers.
Thank you very much, Jack.
Yes, friends, think of some other ways to use those words, trigger and stamina, because I can't think of any right now. Oh, actually, yes, stamina. It's very important to have good stamina, to try to keep up your stamina and energy.
That's right, especially when you're running and doing something athletic.
Yeah.
Well, friends, it's time for us to continue our lesson. We read Challenge Yourself concept. So the first part of the section was change your professional environment. And this part is challenge yourself concept.
That's right. That refers to the way you perceive yourself or conceive of yourself. We read Impersonality Isn't Permanent. That is the name of this work that Hardy wrote. Personality Isn't Permanent. Hardy discusses a study from Harvard psychologist Dr. Ellen Langer. In 1981, Langer and her graduate students selected a group of men in their 70s and placed them in an environment modeled to look like the 1950s.
Okay, now isn't that interesting? Now, before we continue, we would like to take a look at this word, modeled. What does this word mean?
Yeah, our lesson says it's modeled to look like the 1950s. So it's created to look like the 1950s. When you make a model of something, you're making a creation. But often there's the idea that it looks like or is similar to or resembles something else.
That's right. So, of course, the word model, too, is a verb. But if you have a model of something, that's a noun. And of course, a model of something is just a smaller version of something that's bigger.
Okay, so if that's an actual model, right? You're creating a model. It's a model of something bigger, maybe a small scale model. But our lesson is talking about maybe an environment that's modeled. We might say modeled after something. That's a great phrase for you to know. It's modeled after an environment from the 1950s.
That's right. Well, we read it featured a black and white television, mid-century furniture, and magazines from the era. So as you can see, this specific area was modeled to look like the 1950s. Now, what was the point of this test or this experiment?
Yeah, I really like this study and what they experimented with here. As Hardy explains, the goal was to trigger their minds and bodies to exhibit the energy and biological responses of a much younger person.
Interesting. So did it work? Well, if you have your lesson in front of you, you will know it worked. Our lesson says it worked. The subjects showed measurable improvement in eyesight, hearing, memory, and stamina.
Okay, so we read on, often the way we conceive of ourselves impacts our physiology and psychology. Well, let's take a look at that word physiology. Physiology is a branch of biology relating to living organisms and their functions. So really it's talking about the functions of living beings.
That's right. Okay, let's read the last line here. By chasing new experiences and challenging ourselves, we can build the capacity to change and improve. So the point of this lesson is try new things, try new experiences, but we need to take a look at that word chase, to chase after something.
That's right. When you're chasing something, you're not only following it, you're not only pursuing it, you're actively pursuing it because you really want it.
That's right. And of course, when I hear that word chase, the first thing that comes to my mind is a dog chasing a cat, or seeing kids chasing after each other in a game of tag.
But of course, in life, you can chase different experiences. You can go after different things to learn something new so that you can improve your life. We can build the capacity to change and improve is what our lesson says. And it's important to even tackle challenges as they come. Right now, it's time for you to tackle today's
SC Challenge. Hello friends, and welcome to today's SC Challenge. Are you ready to have some fun? Of course you are. Well, guess who else is ready to have some fun? Our players. Let's meet them now.
Hey guys, Pauline back again for another game.
And I'm Zach. Good to be back.
Okay, well today our SC Challenge is called Same or Different. I'm going to read some words, and then I'm going to tell our players whether to think of a word that's similar or a word that is different than the word that I read. Players, are you ready?
Ready?
Ready or not.
Time to begin. Okay, well, the first word is substantial. Consider making substantial changes to your professional environment. Same. Yes, Pauline.
Major?
Major. That is definitely a similar word. I also wrote down big or significant. Significant are some other similar words. Excellent. 1 point for Pauline. Next word is successful. George is a successful leader. Different. Yes, Zach.
Unsuccessful.
Unsuccessful. That is correct. Unsuccessful. Well, Zach has 1 point. Pauline has 1 point. This is the tiebreaker. Ensure. That's E-N-S-U-R, ensure. Anything that pushes you outside the limits of your normal work life can ensure you keep growing. Same. Yes, Pauline.
Guarantees?
Guarantee. That is correct. I also wrote down to secure or make sure. But guarantee is correct. Pauline has 2 points, so she is our winner for today. Well, thank you so much for playing. You both did great. And of course, friends, thank you. We'll see you all next time.
Well, I'm sure you did a great job with that challenge today, friends. And if you would like yet another challenge, why don't you check out the Reader's Toolkit in your magazine? I helped out with that one just a little bit. And also make sure that you join us next time because we have another lesson about change, but this time it deals with why people fear change. You will not want to miss it. We'll see you then.
I am so proud to have you in my life. A good friend lasts a lifetime.